Her name was Laura, and if you saw her from the outside, you'd probably say she was the perfect mom. The house was always spotless, the lunchboxes healthy, the kids always well-dressed. She was in every school group chat, always picked the kids up on time, helped with homework, organized birthday parties, and showed up to every meeting and school event. If there were a checklist for the ideal mom, she'd have every box ticked. But inside, she was utterly exhausted. A deep, lingering tiredness, mixed with guilt and frustration that clung to her day after day. Laura would wake up already drained. Sometimes she hadn't even opened her eyes yet and already felt like crying. And worst of all, she felt guilty for it. After all, she had healthy kids, a good husband, a brand new house furnished just the way she always dreamed. But peace of mind, that she didn't have. The new house, meant to bring joy, became the stage for her stress. Everything was new. The furniture, the appliances, the clean white walls, and everything had to stay perfect. Laura wouldn't let anyone use anything naturally. She scolded the kids if they touched the light-colored couch, yelled if she saw crumbs on the floor, and sighed loudly whenever a toy was out of place. It was as if keeping the house perfectly in order had become the most important thing in the world. The home that should have been a safe haven had turned into a minefield, not out of cruelty, but because Laura was trapped in an impossible ideal, and everyone around her paid the price. And her mornings? Quiet chaos. Laura had long struggled with getting out of bed. She knew she should wake earlier, take time for herself, enjoy a calm breakfast, but she kept hitting the snooze button. When she finally got up, it was a whirlwind. The baby's milk boiling over, the kids fighting about getting dressed, missing socks, car keys nowhere to be found. Everything piled up in a matter of minutes. Then came the usual script. She'd feel terrible for losing control, for yelling, for not being that Pinterest mom. But instead of stopping to breathe, Laura did what she always did. Promised herself tomorrow would be different. Yet the same story repeated every single day. She complained all day, a lot. But deep down, she didn't want to be like that. She just couldn't help it. She complained about her husband who helped, but in her view, never did anything quite right. She complained about the kids, as if their every action was a personal attack. She complained about the traffic, the weather, the routine, the lack of time, her changed body, her unmanageable hair. But what hurt most was the part left unsaid. The constant fear of failing. Laura wanted to be the perfect mom, not out of vanity, but out of insecurity. It was as if something inside her whispered, "If you're not perfect, they won't love you. They'll think you're not a good mom. They'll grow up blaming you. They'll see you're not good enough." So she pushed herself relentlessly, never rested, never said, "It's good enough," never allowed herself to start a new course, take a walk, care for herself. Because if she was going to do something, it had to be perfect. And since she knew it wouldn't be perfect, she wouldn't even try. So she stayed stuck, frustrated, exhausted, and always feeling not good enough. But the hardest part of all was wearing the mask. When she was with other moms, Laura smiled. She talked about swimming lessons, the perfect lunchbox, the new book she bought, though she hadn't even opened it. And afterward, she'd come home and cry in the shower, alone. Because the truth was, she couldn't take it anymore. She loved her children, she really did, but she was afraid to admit that behind all that love was a woman who felt lost. A woman who no longer knew who she was beyond the role of mom, who felt weak for crying, selfish for wanting time alone, insufficient for never feeling satisfied. And so, she did what she always did, pretended to be fine, erased herself, and cared for everyone, except herself. Then came an ordinary Monday, the usual chaos of starting the week. Laura was exhausted, like always, but that day something inside her felt more fragile than usual. The baby had woken up several times during the night. Her oldest daughter was angry and crying over a lost toy. Her husband rushed out the door without a goodbye or a kiss. Laura moved through the house, dragging herself, trying to keep everything under control. Cooking, cleaning, replying to school messages, picking up scattered toys, all with a pounding heart, anxiety through the roof. But still, she pretended everything was fine. She always pretended, until her body stopped pretending. While making lunch, she felt dizzy from a migraine. She left the kitchen just for a moment to help her daughter get dressed. Just a minute, she thought. But that minute was enough. When she came back, the kitchen was filled with thick smoke. The smell was unbearable. A dish towel had caught fire, and the flames were spreading. Panicked, Laura screamed, ran to the kids, scooped them up in her arms, and ran out of the house in tears. She screamed for help, trembling all over. Her heart beat so fast she thought she might faint. A neighbor called the fire department, which arrived quickly. The fire was contained before it reached the whole house, but the new kitchen was ruined. And Laura was too. Once the smoke settled and the kids were safe, the neighbors gone, the house silent, she sat on the floor and broke down. She cried, not just from the scare, but because she saw herself in the smoke and ashes. A soul burned out from endless pressure, from pretending, from trying to hold together a perfect home while falling apart inside. For the first time in a long time, Laura didn't blame anyone. Not her husband, not the kids, not the routine. She looked at herself with brutal honesty and whispered, "I'm at my limit. I feel lost. I need help." And right there, she prayed. It wasn't a pretty prayer. It came in sobs and whispers of pain. "God, why am I like this? Why can't I just feel light again? I'm not happy, Lord. I'm not happy. And I'm tired of pretending I am." In that moment, something quiet came over her. Not a voice, not an answer, but a presence. A gentle certainty that God was there, even in the chaos, listening, not judging, but holding her. Like a father who sees his daughter fall and doesn't say, "I told you so," but runs to embrace her. She cried a while longer, but this time, it was a different kind of crying. Not the tears of a victim, but the tears of someone who, for the first time, stopped trying to be strong all the time. Who made space to receive help without resisting. And in that moment, she felt free. Free from the image she had tried to uphold. Free from the demand to be perfect. Free to just be herself. Imperfect, human, alive. The days that followed were quiet. Laura didn't go around telling everyone what happened. She didn't post a dramatic story online. For the first time, she just wanted to listen to what was inside her, and to what God was gently whispering to her soul. She started small, as all real change does. She began waking up calmly. She sat to have breakfast and read her Bible before cleaning the kitchen. She watched the kids playing in the living room and didn't yell about the mess. She laughed when they made a bit of a mess. She started seeing beauty in the everyday. She let her home become a place of warmth and peace, not perfection. Laura finally understood, with a clarity only pain can bring, that she was trying to control everything because she was afraid of not being enough. But when she gave that fear to God, something shifted. She began to just be. Simple, human, mother, woman. Instead of trying to be seen, she began to see. To notice her kids, their needy eyes, their tantrums that were really just cries for affection. To notice her husband, who, even if he didn't always do things her way, was trying to love her the best he knew how. To notice herself, with her flaws, her strengths, her limits. She stopped constantly seeking validation. She put her phone down more, no longer obsessed with showing off a perfect home. She actually started reading the books she bought. She allowed herself to rest, even if the house was still a bit messy. She began to live without mentally punishing herself just because something didn't go as planned. That's when she discovered the beauty of simplicity. Not a romanticized simplicity, but a soul-deep peace. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. The kind dressed in truth, in lightness, in humor, in humility. That sees the mess and still manages to laugh. Like one author once said, "Angels fly because they take themselves lightly." And Laura began to fly because she had finally learned how to be light, to accept that God's grace doesn't move through our polished image, but through our raw, honest truth. She still got irritated sometimes, yes. She still forgot things and complained about stuff, but she didn't drown in it anymore. Now she lived authentically. She laughed at herself. She apologized sincerely. She got back on track without the crushing weight of guilt. Because now she knew her worth wasn't in how perfect she looked, but in who she was at her core. And she knew God loved her just like that. Imperfect, but fully surrendered. And it was that surrender that changed everything. The house became lighter, the kids happier, the marriage more real. Because Laura had finally stopped trying to look strong and started living as a beloved daughter who trusts her Heavenly Father. A daughter who might fall, but always has a place to land. A daughter who now knows who she is. And in the end, that's what she needed all along. Not a new house, not spotless furniture, not a perfect life on Instagram, but a reconnection, an inside-out shift, an encounter with the one who made her and who, every day, lovingly says, "You don't need to prove anything. I loved you first." Maybe, deep down, we're all a bit like Laura, carrying more than we can handle, demanding a perfection no one ever asked of us, forgetting we don't have to be everything all the time, forgetting that it's possible to live lightly, to love without self-erasure, to care without crumbling under pressure. Because true simplicity and lightness isn't just about a minimalistic lifestyle. It's about a soul at peace with who it is before God, knowing we can mess up, start again, laugh at our missteps, and still be deeply loved by the one who sees our heart. So, if this story touched something in you, maybe God is whispering to you too, "Daughter, you don't have to carry it all alone. Let me be your rest." That's it for now. If this story reminded you of someone, send it to them with love. Sometimes all we need is a simple story to remember what truly matters. See you next time.